Alright, I'm gonna hopefully do a quick video on creating animations for 3DCanvas FoundryVTT. So if I pull in a character, I don't think I have a great example, but their attacks will be linked to their animations. Actually, I do have some animations in the token compendium animated, and we can just there's some mimics. Oh, maybe I just have animated mimics. Interesting. But as you can maybe see with the mimic, it's just a armoire of sorts. And then if I go into my states, we have a mimic idle state and a morph state, which sort of morphs into the mimic. So you can create a animation where, or some rules around it, where this first morphs and then eventually turns into the mimic itself and stays there. So you can create some midi-qol rules around this for your player characters, essentially creating custom animated attacks. So let's get into it. So I just looked up MZ4250 and looked for rigged, and this is going to best work with a T-posed character. So that's if you're in Hero Forge, make your character T-posed, and we found this guy here. I generally like to work in layout mode, and we don't need his lamps, and we've got him pretty well set up. Move him down a little bit. So we see our T-posed guy here, and if I pop into pose mode, if I click on pose, his armature, there we go. We can see the bones if we put them in front there. So if I want him to remove the bones, because Mixamo is going to do that for me, I'm just going to apply this armature, and then we can unparent and keep transformation, so we can get rid of our armature. We just have our T-pose character there. Might as well apply transforms, and we will export him as an FBX, which I believe I tried to do this a moment ago. Selected objects, export FBX. We pop into Mixamo, and we find our character, and this can take a few moments, and again it works best with a T-posed FBX character. Okay, we move to the next part. We're going to use symmetry because this guy is pretty symmetrical. We're going to find his chin, place these on the wrists, these go to elbows, knees, and groin. There's options for how many fingers you want. We'll just do the standard because he's so well posed. Alright, so it took some processing, but as you can see, I've now got the Mixamo sort of default animation there. We'll go ahead and click next. And this mesh is probably pretty complex. I did not decimate it or anything for this tutorial, so that's probably why it took so long. I would encourage a decimated model that you've already gone through the decimation process for Foundry. Also, I would encourage a painted decimated model, so something that's already Foundry ready that you just want to animate. So get it into the T-pose, load the FBX into Mixamo. From here, we can explore some animations. So I like to start with sort of an idle animation, which is just, you know, someone standing around. So we might, his arms look a little too straight there. I could do some arm space. So you can sort of play with what these different animations look like. There's another idle, more like battle ready idle. I think they have these pink ones to be a little more feminine, but there's just a breathing idle. So we could kind of choose. I'm going to choose this one to start. So the first one, actually, yeah, let's do this one to start. Or if there's a T-pose, yeah, I like to start with a T-pose because this will be our foundation. So we're going to download with skin. I'm going to check my notes here because I have some. So we're going to make one T-pose with skin and the others are going to be without. So this will be with skin, and I'm going to create a folder where I start to put these animations. So I'm going to do a new folder. We'll just call this Mixamo tutorial 3DCanvas, something like that. And then we've got the T-pose. Now let me find that idle I had earlier, which was I think this one I liked. And we'll download. This one's going to be without skin. There we go. We're going to have idle. Let's do a few more. If I do 0.05, we get a little closer. Now, I have a script that I do. If we sort of went back and let's see. Let's actually just start new because I think this is what a lot of people struggle with, is that scaling. So if I import my FBX with my skin, and that's going to be the T-pose. And I have a script here that says make sure the armature object is selected and in object mode. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to create a window here. Oops, that's not what I want. There we go. And I'm going to go into scripting. Oh, okay. Create a new script, and I'll put this in the description here. But I make sure the armature is selected. I'm in object mode, and I'm going to run this script. It does something. I didn't make the script. I don't know what it does. I do know what it does. It makes it so the scaling and whatnot isn't wonky. So let's go back to layout. I guess I didn't need to make that window. Okay. So now we have our T-pose. And we can do all the things that we just did. So if I jump into my dope sheet and action editor, we call this T-pose, and we push it down, and that should show up in our nonlinear animation. There's our T-pose. I'm in pose mode for some reason for that. Okay. Now if I import another FBX, this time I'm going to use that idle, and I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to go into scripting, and oh, I messed with my script, didn't I? Whoa. Alright. Haven't done this in a while. It's gonna be interesting. But where is text editor? Is that what I want? Scripting. Put that same script in there. And we'll run it. Looks like it ran. So then this one, I'm gonna rename that from the dope sheet, calling it idle, pushing it down, and then I can actually get rid of it because it should show up in here. Idle. There we go. Push that down. We've got our idle animation. Is it thinking? It's thinking. Oh, because I still have this as a 600,000 verts. So, oops, I do not want a boolean. So you can see how that really slows things down. So I'm just going to put in 0.05. Let's see if we can get close to that workable mesh count. 22,000 looks pretty bad. Let's just do 0.1. Okay, we'll leave it like that. Okay, now his idle should look plays a little bit smoother. We're gonna import another casting. We're gonna jump to our scripting. We're gonna run this script, and we're gonna rename it from the action editor as casting, and push it down and get rid of it. Back in our nonlinear timeline, we can add casting. There we are. Push that down. Import our last FBX, which is the kick. Jump to scripting, run the script. Back to layout. Delete. Oh, I did not push it down. Let's see if that helps. Oh, I didn't rename it though. Let's see if we could still rename it in this order. So if I jump to this, oh, it's not going to let me do it, huh? Well, let's jump to here, pop this in, and then push it down, and we can always call it kick here. Okay, so we've got our kick, boom. We've got our casting. We've got our idle, and we've got our T-pose. Okay, let's check our Blender file for actions. So this is the one that I did not rename, so we're going to call it kick. And then I want my T-pose to be first, so we're going to call this 1 T-pose, 2 idle, 3 casting, 4 kick. Now, we've got them all. Let's see if we can export and see if it fixed our sizing issue. So I'm going to do GLB. We'll find our Mixamo, and we're going to say sized. check my defaults, WebP, animation actions. We didn't even check in Foundry if my animations were working because the size bothered me so much I got distracted. But we will get there. So it's thinking, it's thinking, it's thinking. Okay, let's test it out. This time we are going to choose our Mixamo tutorial and pick sized and see how this goes. We're going to use scaling 1. Oh, look at that. So much better. He is scaled to where he needs to be, and it looks like his if we go under advanced effects, his animation index is at 1. So if I go to 0, we see that it's the T-pose. If I go to 1, we get that idle. If I go to 2, we should get casting. There we are. And if I go to 3, we get our kick. Great. Now, let's bring them back to idle. And let's program some actions into this character. So I want him to, he's got a scimitar. Well, let's just give him a kick action, because obviously he has a kick and he's got some spells. So let's give him a spell. Let's give him, I don't know, lightning bolt. Sure. And then for, he's got the kick, he's got the spell, and he's got idle. So let's give him a kick. Do we have a kick option? Not really. It's just like unarmed strike probably. And we'll make that his kick action. So let's start with the kick, because we know that that's animation index 3. We'll go into edit here. I do have midi-qol installed, and we have these on-use macros. So if whether I hit this or the DIME up here, it's going to allow me to add a macro. So this is going to be after the attack roll, sure. And then we're going to edit this. This is the same thing as up here. And then I'm going to use a script or alter a script which I posted somewhere recently. I'm trying to find it. So it uses the midi-qol. I'm going to have to find it in my chat log. So we'll do midi-qol. Is that going to find it? Let's call anim index. Yes, probably here. Okay, so I've got sets the animation index to 2 for 2 seconds. So I could check this out. The kick is oops. Where's my kick? Start editing. Okay, timeline. Where's my kick? Interesting. Because I have to have this selected. No? Huh. Well, either way, it's about 57 frames. So if we take 57 by 24, it's 2.375 seconds. So I'm going to take 2.375 as my workflow here. So this one says 2 seconds. It sets the animation index to, I'm just going to copy this and show you what I mean here. So we're going to pop this in here, but we're going to use the workflow for midi-qol. It's going to make sure there's an active token or workflow token. It's going to set the animation index. It's going to default to 1, which is our idle. It's going to set it to 3. So we want it to be set to 3. That's the kick index. We're going to wait for whatever I just said, 2.35 seconds. So we're going to say, instead of 2000, 2350, and then revert it back. Okay, we're going to save macro, and then we've got our item macro after the attack roll. So that's exactly what we're looking at. Let's see how it works. So we've got our bandit. We're going to use an item, make sure we could see him here. And he's going to use his unarmed strike or kick. I've got some other modules going there after the attack roll. And we see, oh, look at that, because I had something else built into that. So let's make sure my animated effects are off. Submit and close. Let's try that again. So we have the attack roll. Oh, that's a 20. Boom, he kicks and then he returns to idle. Cool. Now let's do the spell. Let me start by making sure the animated effect is disabled. We're going to go into midi-qol. We'll do add one here. It's going to be after the attack roll. You could choose anything here, but I like after the attack roll. And then we're going to put that same thing in here. The spell casting one is quite a bit longer. We're looking at 90 frames. So if we did 90 divided by 24, 3.75 seconds. So I'll come in here. 3.75 is going to be 3750. And I'll just change the note here, 3.75. This is animation index 2, so that one's all good. So we're going to apply that, save it, and then we should be good to go. Let's check out his lightning bolt. We're going to not place the measure template for now. We just want to see if maybe I do need to place a measure template for it to work. Let's just change it to where it will be called before targeting is resolved. Yeah, we'll do that just for testing purposes, because we're going to discard previous. There we go. See how that worked? Oh, and it looks like it's a little long because it repeated, so I might go into this and just change it to maybe 3700, something like that. Let's try it again. We cast it, discard previous, we see it popping up there. Okay. So you get the idea. That is how you would create custom animations for FoundryVTT. I hope it's helpful, and have fun.